Chris here, and welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my TBR for Phase Out Your TBR. Yes, despite the setup, this is not Phase 10 Chooses Your TBR. This is my readathon that I have now hosted twice before, and this is Phase 3 of Phase Out Your Readathon. This will run the entire month of March, and the idea is to use the boards that I have provided to complete Phase 3 and phase out your TBR. For me personally, I'm going to try to focus mainly on my physical TBR, though if I need to, I will dip in to my ebook TBR. My idea is to just get through books I've bought and really focus on those books, starting with the ones that are actually spread around my house. I'll link the announcement video for Phase 3 in the cards above, and the Discord for the Phase Out Your TBR readathon will be linked in the description below if you'd like to hop in and join us. Phase 3 is a set of 4 and a run of 4. What this means is I need 4 cards of the same number and then 4 cards in consecutive order. It's sort of like my game, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw cards, try to complete my set, and I will try to pick out books for the other prompts that don't fit my phase. The only ones I will need to read are the ones for my set and the ones for my run. The others are kind of optional and will be ones that I try to draw for other readathons I'm doing this month or when I actually play Phase 10 Choosing My TBR. If I get a wild, I can use it in my set or my run, but I will also end up rolling a die for some punishment rolls at the end to kind of add on and give me more to choose from. When I partake in this, I really do try to focus on the books that are going to complete my phase, and less so on trying to fit in everything. And there are no punishments or anything like that. So if you want to jump in, it's really fun, and it just kind of focuses on maybe getting you to think about some books that you haven't thought about before that are on some sort of TBR of yours. So let's dive into mine and see what I'm going to be reading in the month of March. So our first card is a blue 10. That could work for run or set. I obviously don't know yet. The prompt for blue 10 is water on the cover. And for this, I'm going to read Windrider's Shipwreck in Seal Bay by Jen Marlin. This is the 3rd book in this series, and it follows Max and Sophia, and they tend to go on these magical adventures where they get to do something that is involved with helping the planet. In the 1st book, I believe they rescued some turtle eggs. In the 2nd one, they were rescuing scarlet macaws. And in this one, I'm going to guess they're helping some seals in Seal Bay. So I really enjoy this series. It's a really quick series. It's got illustrations, and it's just been a cute little easy middle grade, like early middle grade series that I've really enjoyed reading. Card number 2. Okay, there's a red 11, which works with my run. So we'll put it there for now. So the prompt for red 11 is weapon on the cover. And for this, I'm going to read Brian's Winner. As you can see, there's a hatchet right here on the cover, which makes sense considering this is the sequel to Hatchet. And I believe this is the 3rd book in the series where we get to see Brian surviving in the wilderness in winter. I have never read the 3rd book in the series. I only read the 1st one back in the day because I read it for school when I was in 7th grade. I finally read the 2nd one recently, so I've been trying to get to the 3rd one for a while now, and we'll see if I can utilize Phase Out Your TBR to actually finally get to this one and continue my journey with Brian. Card number 3 is a yellow 2, which is fine. That doesn't really help us, but it doesn't hinder us either. So yellow 2 is food or drink on the cover, and for this, I'm going to read The Ghosts of Misty Hollow. This is the 6th book in the Granny Apples mystery series, and as you can see on the cover, there's apples. I own the ebook of this. This is one of my series to continue, and I'm really lacking in picking them up. I'm a few books behind this in the series, but I'm hoping to get to those in February. So if I don't, I'm now given an extra incentive to continue on and get to book 6. This follows, I believe her name is Emma, and she ends up finding out that she can see and hear ghosts when her many time removed grandma, Granny Apples, gets a hold of her because she was accused of murdering her husband and sentenced to death for it, but she didn't, and she wants her granddaughter, many times removed, to prove that she didn't do it. I really enjoyed the series. I bought the ebooks because I could no longer get the physical copies from like my library and stuff, and I've just had them for years and not read them because out of sight, out of mind. So this is as good a time as any to put this on a TBR and make it a focus. Card number 4 is a skip. That doesn't really do me any good. It just means I don't have to pick a prompt. Well, take a prompt, pick a book, etc. Draw number 5 is a 1. Blue specifically. So now I have 2 options for a run. though I could really use a double right about now. The prompt for blue one is people on the cover, and I'll be reading Nowhere Boy by Catherine Marsh. I recently read her newest book, crud. What is the name of it? I'm drawing a complete blank. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was my first 5-star of the year. I'll pop the cover up here. And really, really enjoyed that. So I looked into the author and realized they had another one. This follows 14-year-old Ahmed, who is stranded in a city that wants nothing to do with him. He's just arrived from Brussels and fled a life of uncertainty and suffering in Syria, only to lose his father on the perilous journey to the shores of Europe. Now he's struggling to get by on his own, and with no one left and nowhere to go, his hope is fading. Then he meets Max, a 13-year-old American boy, lonely and homesick. Max is having trouble at his new school and just can't seem to do anything right. But with one startling discovery, Max and Ahmed's lives collide, and a friendship begins to grow. Together, Ahmed and Max will defy the odds, learning from each other what it means to be brave and how hope can change your destiny. So, very, very interested in this book, and if it has the same heart that the other book she wrote did, because I remember it was about the Holodomor in Ukraine in the 30s. And the current timeline was set during the early days of the pandemic. And it was really, really interesting. And I really just felt the heartache of the characters in Ukraine that we were seeing in the past. And then, of course, current day, our main character struggling with the pandemic. So I hope it has the same heart in this one and that I get really, really attached to the characters in the story. So very, very, very much looking forward to this one. Card 6 is a yellow 6. Which really does not help me any. The prompt for Yellow 6 is TBR Vet, and I'm going to go with Crime and Poetry by Amanda Flower. I've had this for a very, very, very long time. I might have even read it, but it was so long ago I don't remember. I have easily had this since before I got back into reading, which is why I'm saying, like, I might have read it, because there was a time when all I read was cozy mysteries, and then I stopped reading because I was in college, and, well, when I didn't have to read, I didn't want to read. Says, rushing home to sit by her ailing grandmother's bedside, Violet Waverly is shocked to find Grandma Daisy the picture of perfect health. Violet doesn't need to read between the lines. Her grandmother wants Violet back home and working in her magical store, Charming Books. It's where the perfect book tends to fly off the shelf and pick you. Violet has every intention of hightailing it back to Chicago, but then a dead man is discovered clutching a volume of Emily Dickinson poems from Grandma Daisy's shop. The victim is Benedict Raisin, who recently put Grandma Daisy in his will, making her a prime suspect. Now, with the help of a tuxedo cat named Emerson, Violet will have to find a killer to keep Grandma from getting booked for good. So this sounds like a cozy mystery that would be right up my alley. If I have read it, there's a reason I kept it, obviously, and if I hadn't, well, then I will hopefully enjoy it. And like I said, it's been on my TBR for an extremely long time, so it's probably about time I get to it. Card number 7 is another skip. Why can't these come up in my TBR game? Card number 8. Ooh, red 10. Okay, so now I'm starting to build a set of 10s. So the prompt for red 10 is highest rated. And I had 2 options for this. One would have been the most recent book in the Granny Apple series. And I'm putting that off, hopefully, because it is a Christmas book. And I'd like to read it in December. The other, also with a 4.65 rating, is The Death of the Party by Maggie Aldrich. It says, upon moving back to small-town America, the last thing newbie reporter Jackie Robinson expects to discover is a dead body. And not just any dead body. A local legend and popular native son, the king of Saddle Creek. Much to the chagrin of Officer Tony Torres, her first unrequited crush. Jackie takes the case. She's determined to write a breakout story and forget her own sorry past. But when BFF Amy becomes the prime suspect, things start getting hairy. Can Jackie clear Amy's name without revealing her own secrets, or will the sexy and determined Officer Torres stop her dead in her tracks? A little bit of romance, a little bit of laughter, and a lot of mysteries. Maggie Aldrich always delivers. So that's my highest rated book that I own. That's what I'll be reading. Another ebook. This is going to be interesting because I'm very bad at remembering I even have those on my TBR. Card number 9 is a yellow 3. Perfect, perfect. 1, 2, 3. We're getting there. The prompt for yellow 3 is image on the spine. So I'm going to read The Blackthorn Key by Kevin Sands. There is obviously the symbol on here that's on the main cover on the spine, which would be an image. This is a book I read 2019. I read like the first 4 books in the series, and I don't remember much about it, but I wanted to continue on with the series, and I haven't. So I need to reread them because it's been long enough that, like, I know it'll come back to me as I read, but it will affect my enjoyment. So I decided this year this was going to be a series I continued by rereading the series and then catching up. It says, tell no one what I've given you. Until he got the cryptic warning, Christopher Rowe was happy learning how to solve complex codes and puzzles and creating powerful medicines, potions, and weapons. As an apprentice to Master Benedict Blackthorne, with maybe an explosion or two along the way. But when a mysterious cult begins to prey on London's apothecaries, the trail of murders grows closer and closer to Blackthorne's shop. With time running out, Christopher must use every skill he's learned to discover the key to a terrible secret with the power to tear the world apart. I definitely do remember some stuff about this series, but I would for sure need a reread. So very, very excited to be getting to this in March, and I think it fits perfectly for Image on the Spine. Card 10 is an 11. So now I've got 11s and 10s on the go. So the prompt for Green 11 is to read a YA, and I'm going to read Stolen Time. I've read this before, but it is part of a trilogy, and I legitimately don't remember what happens, but I do own books 2 and 3 in the trilogy, and I'd like to kind of read it. So I figured I'd read this. It says, Seattle, 1913, Dorothy is trapped, forced to wed a wealthy man so she and her mother can live comfortably for the rest of their days. She'll do anything to escape, including sneaking away from her wedding and bolting into the woods to disappear. New Seattle, 2077. Ash is on a mission. Rescue the professor, his mentor who figured out the secret to time travel, so together they can put things right in their devastated city. But endless jumps through time have left Ash plagued by pre-memories of what's to come. A violent death and his heart torn apart. When Dorothy collides with Ash, she sees it as her chance to start fresh. She'll stow away in his plane and begin a new life wherever they land. Then she wakes up in a future that's been ripped apart by earthquakes and floods, where vicious gangs rule the submerged city streets and a small group of intrepid travelers from across time are fighting against the odds to return things to normal. What Dorothy doesn't know is that she could hold the key to unraveling the past, but her rival may spell Ash's ultimate destruction. So yeah, I read this, another one that I read, I want to say in like 2019, 2020 maybe, and I remember enjoying it, but I don't remember pretty much any of the details. So now that I have books 2 and 3 and can continue the series, I would really like to reread this one so I can continue on and get it off my series to continue list. So this is going to be my book for YA. Draw number 11 is another 10. Ooh, looks like I'm going for 10s. So Yellow 10 is Author You Love, and I'm going to read Bravelands, The Venom Spreads by Aaron Hunter. One of my favorite authors, probably the one I mention most or use the most for prompts like this. This is the second book in the Curse of the Sand Tongue, which is the second arc in the Braveland series. And we're following a gorilla, a leopard, and an antelope, I believe. And I recently read book 1. So it's a good time to continue the series before the details escape me. No, it's a gazelle, not an antelope. I'm looking, I'm going, where is the word? I'm like, it's a creature with horns. It runs on the plains. Yeah, and a gazelle. So it follows a gorilla, a leopard, and a gazelle. And I really enjoyed the first book and would like to see what they get up to in the second one and where their journeys take them, because I was really invested in book 1. Card number 12 is a 5. Interesting. There's potential there. So Green 5 is LGBTQIA plus rep, and for this I'm going to read The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James. I do own this book, but it's on the bookshelf in the living room, and I'm trying to keep Cielo out of my room so that she does not knock the camera over and try to help me. If you've seen my vlogs, you know how helpful she is. So I do own this one physically, and it says 12-year-old Sunny St. James navigates heart surgery, reconnections with a lost mother, first kisses, and emerging feelings for another girl. When Sunny St. James receives a new heart, she decides to set off on a new life plan. 1. Do awesome, amazing things she could never do before. 2. Find a new best friend. And 3. Kiss a boy for a first time. Her new life plan seems to be racing forward, but when she meets her new best friend, Quinn, Sunny questions whether she really wants to kiss a boy at all. With the reemergence of her mother, Sunny begins a journey to becoming the new Sunny St. James. This is by Ashley Herring Blake. I read her adult romance trilogy last year at the end of the year and absolutely loved it, to the surprise of, well, anybody who knows me and the types of books I read. So I'm hoping that this also connects with me. despite it being middle grade. So this is going to be my book for LGBTQIA+. Card number 13. It's another 5. Okay. The prompt for Red 5 is paperback, and we're going to try Crowfall again. I've had this on many a TBR. I really like Vashti Hardy's Brightstorm Twins trilogy, and I keep meaning to read this, and I just keep putting it off. It's on my TBR, and then I don't read it. So maybe this time's the charm. Card number 14 is a 2. Well, this is getting exceedingly unhelpful. So, my most recent purchase is the 4th book in the series, and I would need to read the 3rd book before I read the 4th book. And I've done that a few times already where I've put a book on my TBR that is further in the series than I'm actually at. So I'm going to cut myself a break and go back to my book outlet order that is not here yet, but I did order it. And I'm going to go with The Body Under the Piano. This is the first book in the Aggie Morton Mystery Queen series, and it says, Aggie Morton lives in a small town on the coast of England in 1902. Adventurous and imaginative, but deeply shy, Aggie hasn't got much to do since the death of her beloved father, until the fateful day when she crosses paths with 12-year-old Belgian immigrant Hector Perot and discovers a dead body on the floor of the Mermaid dance room. As the number of suspects grows and the murder threatens to tear the town apart, Aggie and her new friend will need every tool at their disposal, including their insatiable curiosity, deductive skills, and not a little help from their friends to solve the case before Aggie's beloved dance instructor is charged with a crime Aggie is sure she didn't commit. So I have been wanting to read historical fiction and mystery, so this kind of ticks both of those boxes. So I think this is fair. I bought them both in the last week. So even though technically my very newest, most recent purchase is an ebook that is book 4 in a series that I'm on book 3, I'm going to go with this one, and I hope that's okay. Like I said, this should be fun, and it should be trying to work for you, and they're both very recent purchases, and I feel like the fact that I can't read book 4 without reading book 3 means I should be able to go back a little bit longer and go to the previous purchase, especially since it's so close in time. To be fair, it might not even matter because I might not use the blue 2 in my face, and those are the ones I have to read as opposed to the rest of them, which are kind of suggestions. Card number, I don't even know what at this point. Ha. And there is my set. Ding, 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 ding. So, this blue 2 is going to go down here. This red 5 is going to go down here. And this green 11 will go down here. Because if I'm going to use the run, I'm going to use the cards I drew first, not the ones I drew second. So obviously the 2 will not be used. Like I just mentioned, it did not end up in my face. So now I'm looking for a 4. And then I can decide which of these 6 prompts I would like to do, because I would have multiple ways to complete that run. So next card is a 1. We're going to hang on to that. So it's another blue 1. We're going to put this here because I just realized I never picked a book for green 10. So the prompt for green 10 is set outside your country, and I'm going to read All the Light We Cannot See. This is set in Paris, and we're following Marie-Laurie LeBlanc, and she's 12, and Nazis occupy Paris, and her father flee to the walled citadel of Saint Malo. And then we have a mining town in Germany where an orphan grows up with his younger sister, enchanted by a crude radio that brings them news and stories from places they've never seen or heard. And this orphan becomes an expert at building and fixing these crucial new instruments and is enlisted to use his talents to track down the resistance. And these two from warring countries will come together in St. Malo as our author illuminates the ways against all odds people try to be good to one another. I've heard really good things about this one, and I've been putting it off because it's kind of intimidating because of its size, but I'm actually really in the mood for historical fiction. So this seemed like a really good time to finally get to this one and see if it lives up to the hype. And then blue 1 is once again people on the cover, and for this one I'm going to go with the Van de Beekers' Make-A-Wish because there's a ton of people on the cover. This is another one of my series to continue. I've loved every book in this series. It follows the Van de Beeker siblings as they get up to shenanigans. And it looks like this one, they're building to their dad's surprise 40th birthday party, but he must leave to help his best friend. And while he's gone, trouble in the form of their distant grandparents show up on their doorstep. So they have to deal with the disappointment of ruined plans and more than one family secret if they're going to give their dad the special birthday that he deserves. So yes, I'm sure there will be all kinds of hijinks in this one. I've really, really loved the series, so very excited to continue this one. Okay, now we're looking for my 4. And I got a wild, which is great because it means presto bammo, there's my 4. But it also means I have to roll my die to draw some more cards, which stinks. So, first things first, we're going to decide what color 4 that is. So this wild is going to be a blue 4, and I'm going to go with middle grade in honor of Middle Grade March and read Foxcraft, The Elders, which is the second book in the Foxcraft series. This follows a fox. And her name is Isla, and I believe her family goes missing, and she's trying to track them down, and we're going to continue the journey in this one. I remember enjoying the first one, though it's been a while, so I'm trying to remember the exact details, but I love animal POV, I love middle grade, so might as well continue on with another series, as it is also the next round of the Final Book Support Group in March. So I'm combining a lot of things for different readathons, which is continue series, middle grades, reading my own TBR. This fits a lot of boxes. Okay, so we have my die here, and we'll see how many extra cards I need to draw. 3. So the first is a green 8. So green 8 is High Hopes, and for this, I'm going to read The Last Book Wanderer by Anna James. This is the 6th book in the Pages & Co. series. I have extremely high hopes for this. I've really, really loved this series, and I have extremely, extremely high hopes that this is going to end in the most satisfying of conclusions. So I can't think of a better book to put on my TBR for High Hopes. My second extra book is a Red 8. Okay. So Red 8 is a standalone, and I'm going to go with Shouting at the Rain by Linda Mullally Hunt. This says, Delcy loves a good storm, except when the squalls are in her life. Her summer friend, Brandy, is back on the Cape Cod at last, but devastates her by dumping her for a new friend, and she could really use a mom right now, except hers left long ago, and her beloved Grammy won't discuss that, saying it's too painful. Then she meets Snarky Ronan, a kid who could use a friend too. As they traipse around the Cape, they form a dynamic duo, uncovering neighborhood secrets, standing up to cruelty, and getting into good and bad trouble. Most important, they open up to each other and tackle complicated stuff, like what it means to be angry versus sad and broken versus whole. Linda Mullally Hunt, author of New York Times bestseller Fish in a Tree, has written a tender, compelling story about learning to feel complete, figuring out who deserves your love, and making sure those are the folks you give your heart to. I loved Fish in a Tree, so I'm hoping I love this one too. And it's a standalone, and it's a middle grade, so it's another perfect book for my TBR. And my final extra book is a Blue 8. I swear I shuffled these for like a good 10 minutes, and somehow I managed to pull 3 8s in a row of 3 different colors. Don't ask me how I did that. So Blue 8 is book with a map, and for this I'm going to read Fireborn by Aisling Fowler. And oops, let's grab that. There is my map. Look how pretty it is. This was a gift from Oz, so thank you again, Oz. This is coming very, very handy. This was a book I had put on my TBR for March. One of my goals for 2024 was to be more selective. When I saw a book I wanted to read that didn't mean I needed to immediately request it from the library. I have a spreadsheet with the entire year on it, so I have like January TBR, February TBR on the tabs. And so I can add a book to whatever TBR I want. So what I'm trying to do is if I see a book, put it into a month where I don't have as much going on. And this one I put down for March because it's a middle grade, and I figured it would be perfect for middle grade March. So then I was pleasantly surprised when it showed up on my doorstep via Oz, because I had been planning to read it in March. So very excited to read this. It says, a great darkness has destroyed everything she knows, but a hero will rise from the ashes. So I've had my eye on this one for a while, and I kept forgetting about it. So that's why I ended up on a TBR, because I saw it, was reminded of it. Put it on my March TBR, and now I own it. I cannot wait to dive in to this one. And it just so happens to have a map. So that was kind of perfect. So the books I have to read for my 10s are, I believe, Water on the Cover, which I picked Shipwreck and Seal Bay. Set Outside Your Country, which I'm going All the Light We Cannot See. Favorite Author, which is the Venom spreads, and highest rated, which is the Death at the Party. Then for my run, I've decided that I'm going with 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 is Image on the Spine, which is the Blackthorn Key. My 4, I decided I was going with middle grade, and I believe I picked up the Foxcroft book. 5 is LGBTQIA plus rep, and I'm going with Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. And then 6 is TBR Vet, and I'm going to go with Crime and Poetry. So these 3 plus the 2 ebooks are my main TBR and the books I will need to read to complete my phase. And then for the rest of my books, I have these 7 and 3 more. One of them is The Body Under the Piano. One of them is The Last Book Wanderer. And the final one, I cannot remember. Oh, The Ghost of Misty Hollow, which is the Granny Apples book. So that would be the other books I will pull from. These will be priorities for my Phase 10 chooses my TBR game. So there you have it. That's this round. That's how you play. I have 3, 4, 5, 6 for my run and 4 10s. The rest of these are optional. We'll see if I get to them. So there is my TBR. This was an interesting round. I've got quite the eclectic mix of books on my TBR because, I mean, we have middle grade YA and adult. I've got mysteries, I've got historical fiction, I've got fantasy, I've got contemporary, I've got some sci-fi. I mean, I think we've hit all of my main genres, which is pretty cool. So this looks like it's going to be a fun month, and if I can get through all of this, that would be 10 plus 8, that would be 18 books off of my physical TBR. It's doable. I tend to read around 30 books a month, so this is absolutely possible. And given that a lot of these are middle grade, I could probably read more just because middle grade is faster. So we'll see how I do. Again, the Discord will be linked below, and I will be giving updates on my progress there. I am hoping to do sprints in March for this readathon. I will be announcing them in the Discord, so you might want to keep your eye on that. It all depends on whether I get a new laptop, because the one I have has a busted fan, and it will just randomly shut off, so that's not really a computer I want to be using for sprints, because I'll just disappear. So that is kind of my plan, is hopefully I'll get a new laptop in March, and I will be able to sprint. But if I do, I will be announcing it in the Discord, so you really want to check that out. Again, link is in the description below. But that's going to be all for this video. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. Because I also have a personal Discord if you'd like to hop in there and you don't want to take part in the readathon, but you still want to chit-chat with me about books and stuff. So that will also be linked below. If you've made it this far in the video, what emoji should I use? Let's go with a key emoji. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a key emoji in the comment section below. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!